Good to have you back. Nigeria's President Bola Tinubu on Tuesday this week dissolved the board of Niger Delta Development Commission and immediately reconstituted its membership, having apparently failed or refused to treat the oil-rich region special purpose vehicle with dispatch during recent ministerial postings. Now, the Niger Delta seems to have the full attention of the president. Professor Benjamin Okaba, who is president of Ijaw National Congress, joins us now to have another look at reconstitution of the NDDC board, as well as set agenda for the new team. Good to have you, Professor. Now, reports indicate in Cross River and Ondo State, critics have faulted the naming of some members of the new NDDC board, while Rivers and Delta approved of President Tinubu's choices. I'd like your take on that. Seems to be a bit of a mixed grill here, you think?
Okay, thank you very much. First and foremost, to appreciate the president for, I will call it timely, because to get into the past, we know how these things were done. So we say timely reconstitution of the NDDC board in line with the provisions on this matter. So on the question of mixed reactions, for people in Rivers State, in Delta, Bayelsa, I think we are happy. It is expected that not everyone or every section of the region will be so satisfied. You know, this is politics and the political appointment where so many issues are considered. So, by our own assessment as Niger Deltans, core Niger Deltans for that matter, I think it's a fair deal.
Can we talk about your expectations, you know, from this new team that have been constituted by President Bola Tinubu?
Okay, thank you very much. Yeah, if you look at do a roll call of the membership, you have a one-time commissioner in Delta State, a lawyer, a technocrat with enormous experience in the oil and gas sector. As chairman of the board, you also have the MD, Samu Buku, is retained. And these other persons, I think, we think that they will do well. Particularly the retention of the MD is a very wonderful development. I say so because he has been there, he has seen it all. So for the experiences he garnered while acting in whatever capacity, will be utilized properly going forward. So, our key expectations are that this new board will drastically address the core issues for which the Niger Delta Commission was established. We're talking about rapid, speedy development of the region, addressing the difficulties of the region in terms of environment that is so degraded and on a daily basis getting worse, looking at human capital development, looking at infrastructural development that on a daily basis we are experiencing worse situations. As we speak today, the floods are steadily approaching, and people are already running helter-skelter, because the experiences we had in 2022, where most sections, roads, and so many other places cut off, Eastern Road, the only link, nothing was actually done to ameliorate the conditions of that road and therefore the sufferings of the people. So there's panic. The new NDDC should be bold enough to come up with signature projects. Let us do away with the issues of just building a hospital here, this and that. We should have coastline projects, projects running across states, gigantic money spinning and and employment-generating projects. This should be the focus. And I also want to believe that arising from the fact that so many persons are developing awareness as to the failures of previous regime, this body should be awake and deal with those issues of paucity of funds, deal with the overbearing influence of politicians who see it as a cash cow. I want to believe that the NDDC should go back to the documents that were submitted by the founding fathers. These were based on researches and visits to countries like Netherlands. Netherlands is a place that the topography, the difficulties and the challenges are just similar to that of the Niger Delta. And that was why at inception, the NDDC sent scholars to go and understudy the environment, and even the Dutch, many of them were sent to the region to work in plantations. I know the rice plantation at Peramabri, we had engineers, agriculturists from these other regions, so most of the data collected, which maybe formed what we refer to as the Niger Delta Master Plan. By now, yes, some of them are useful, but they should be reviewed. So moving forward, we expect them to hit the ground running and address the fundamental challenges of the region. In fact, beyond building roads, beyond hospitals, beyond, they should go into promotion of scholarship. Let them collaborate with centers of Niger Delta studies. In most of the universities that we have across the region. We have the center at the NDU, we have the Niger Delta University, we have the center at Delta State University. In fact, the Federal University of Tweke only announced a proposal for the establishment for the Center for Niger Delta. They can collaborate with all this and undertake studies, because we are talking about a knowledge economy. So the Niger Delta Commission should partner with these agencies, so that let us be up to speed and up to date with contemporary development efforts. And that will help out, so that at least both the leadership and followership will begin to have some kind of ethical reorientation, leadership reorientation in terms of addressing the core needs and values of the people. And also the followership, should also need some kind of reawakening, because most times we hear, like the intro, people are talking about who is not happy with the people that are led. And if you look at do an analysis of that, it's about who is coming from where. I think we should move beyond who is coming from where to dealing with quality and the ability to provide the kind of leadership that they expected. People with cognitive experience to do what is needful.
Indeed, Professor Okaba, and it's interesting to know that you mentioned the expectations of the founding fathers of the NDDC itself. So in that space, if you were to do an overview, has NDDC lived up to expectations over time, occasioned by frequent changes to its boards, as it were? What guarantees do we have that this current board, will do any better?
Yes, the straightforward answer to the question as to whether the NDDC has lived up to the bidding as the expectations of the founding fathers. The straight answer is no. Yes, the expectations are very high. We're talking about sustainable peace in the region. If you do an evaluation, you just agree with me, there's no peace. The levels of hostilities are still high. In fact, if there's any peace at all, it's just graveyard peace, in some subdued peace in some areas. It's not peaceful. The kidnappings are ongoing. Then pipeline vandalization, crisis, intra and infra crisis over economic issues are all ongoing. In fact, if today we say there is peace, it's because the leadership of the region are talking to the people. and that they should just realize, give the Ahmed Tinubu administration the opportunity to address the issues. And so I think that is the reason why we have some relative peace. If you talk about infrastructure, it's still, you cannot score. They've done a lot, there's no doubt about it. We have a compendium of projects started and ended by the NDDC, but that still is a far cry from what we expected. By now, we shouldn't be talking about roads in the Niger Delta. We shouldn't be talking about gas. We shouldn't be talking about all basic social amenities such as electricity, talking about healthcare services. Now the resources that were actually devoted to the Niger Delta over years should have taken care of all of this. By now, we should be talking about signature projects, and yes. So in terms of, again, human capital development, we've not gone that much. Yes, a lot of persons have been trained. They've even had skill acquisition progress and products. In fact, if they tell you the number of persons they have been trained. But the question is that after the training, what has happened to those persons? Starter packs were given to them, and what has happened? So it also requires value reorientation of both the leadership and the followership. We've not done much. So talking about the guarantee, yes, we say yes, this board has all it takes to do better. Because if over the years you have been hearing about failures of a particular project, failures, challenges facing a particular project, and you are given the responsibility to head such a place, to manage such a place, I think we must learn from the mistakes of the past and leverage on the little success made so far by the founding fathers. So I think that is what should be natural. We don't expect them to be worse than the leadership or management of this commission that came before them. They should do better. They should improve better because at least they should, in the books, on a daily basis, people have shown where they must advance or dedicate their efforts to. They have also been told eloquently too that the challenges to the NDDC are from this and all that. We also know that, yes, some of those issues are still there, like the question of the overbearing interference of the political class, making the NDDC an appendage of some big personalities elsewhere who are not even from the region. Those problems are there. And I also want to believe that now that this has become a public issue, those persons that are also breathing the neck on the NDDC should also allow the NDDC some level of freedom so that they can actually deliver on the mandate that is given to them by the president. You remember the president also charged them that to do things differently, they should think outside the box. They should come up with innovation. They should come up with innovation. So looking at the body language of Tinubu, that is the president, I think if this board go to him with some specific recommendations as to how they can better the loss of the Niger Delta in some specific, mentioning some obstacles they are facing, I'm sure the president will support them to deal with those specific issues. So these are the reasons why we think that they have all it takes to guarantee a better future of the Niger Delta in this very capacity they have, or this position they have.
Well, talking about some overbearing personalities, some activists have called for the scrapping of the Niger Delta Ministry, saying that the NDDC should be fully in charge of affairs, of the region. What are your thoughts on this?
Okay, thanks for reintroducing this debate. You remember we had reacted to questions, this type of question, when it was rumored that no minister was assigned portfolio to that ministry. Our position remains that the Ministry of Niger Delta is important and should remain. Remember, in 2000, Obasanjo established the Niger Delta, and later in 2008, sorry, we had the Minister of Niger Delta. So what we're saying in essence is that if the NDDC had done all that we wanted them to do, yes, maybe we'll have had this type of consideration. But we are facing a situation whereby the NDDC itself is like not enough. NDDC is not just enough. And talking about the Niger Delta, the mandate of the NDDC cannot fully and comprehensively address all the challenges and difficulties facing the people of the region. We are talking about the social category of people that have been deprived all over the years. We are talking about persons whose environment is the reason why you have a Nigeria that is surviving. So persons from whose environment we have every single kobo or naira that sustains this country, but have been so deprived. So those arguments as to scrapping the Niger Delta continue to say that they are not tenable because we don't see that the Niger Delta Ministry as a credible alternative to the NDDC board. The board should continue, the Niger Delta Ministry should continue. What the problems is not duplication. Anyway, in fact, if I look at the funding capacity of both the ministry and that of the NDDC, you agree with me that put the funds for each of these put together is not even enough to address the basic challenges of the region. So we still believe as a people that that suggestion does not actually make sense to us. Thank you.
Very good, Professor Okaba. Now, let's talk about some specifics here. Where is the place of Ondo State in repositioning the NDDC? The region has over time claimed being overlooked and ignored when it comes to decision-making positions within the Commission. Is their grievance valid at this rate, you think?
You know, we have the core Niger Delta, and we also have the political Niger Delta, whether you like, anybody likes it or not. The definitions of the Niger Delta from these two perspectives are clear to all of us. When the issue of the Niger Delta was being introduced as anywhere that is oil is found, outside the core deltaic companies, then these issues will fly and all that. Ondo State qualifies like Imo State and the other state, Abia. They qualify to join as three states that are called Niger Delta by reason of the oil being found in these places. Yes, there are some parts of Ondo State that are oil producing, part of the Deltaic region, there's no doubt about that. So if for any reason they are now part of the Niger Delta politically and all that, I think I would disagree, I will not support a situation where they are not taken seriously in terms of decision making. I think the board, the constitution of the board to indicate that all the member states, 9 of them should have representatives. And if that is so provided, then I think in terms of implementation, I think it has to be implemented to the letters. And every state, every section, every sector so captured be allowed to participate effectively also in the process of decision making. That is my take.
Well, finally, Professor Okaba, one issue that has repeatedly trailed the NDDC is the issue of corruption and mismanagement of funds. So I'm wondering what advice you would give to this new board on how to tackle this menace.
Yes, corruption is hydra-headed. It's a very complex issue. So it's also very difficult to talk about and address because An individual manager might decide not to be corrupt, but if he's so appointed through a corrupt process, the process will force him to be corrupt. So, where this is a political system, where in most cases meritocracy is important, but it's not as important as linkage to a political class, linkage to the corridors of power. So to address the issues of corruption, at least to the best of their knowledge, that is, their ability, let me just put it that way, they need to be disciplined. They need to be disciplined. They need to follow through the process. Due diligence should be applied. I see it as a difficult task because of the external factors. Because if it is about themselves, I think there are processes that are clearly stipulated, even in terms of procurement, processes that are stipulated in terms of award of contracts, engagement with internal and internal organizations, welfare for staff. These processes are clearly stated and they are okay. The problems come when there is some level of interference, particularly in situations where obligations are issued out at them and they don't have what it takes. In fact, if you have worked in the public service, you discover that sometimes you even get involved trying to manage the corruption of another person. Because to be loyal means a lot of things. I don't need to say so much, but I'm just saying that let them be disciplined, let them follow due diligence, let them also appropriately apply the principles in terms of the laid down principles in their dealings. I'm sure I'll try to be transparent, and most times also try to engage the stakeholders of the region. It is also important because managing their appetite in terms of what their values are is also important. You might just find a situation whereby, yes, a leader might decide to say, okay, let me put up roads, let me build bridges. And the same people who are saying, oh, this man is corrupt, because they think that the stomach infrastructure is as important as the bridges you are building. Someone will just tell you that, look, you need to be well fed to be able to use those bridges. So you see political leaders or people who occupy positions finding themselves in a fix, trying to satisfy the need for infrastructure advancement and also trying to satisfy the need for feeding the stomach and meeting other demands and all that. So it's a very complex thing, but I think if they remain focused on their mandate, they will get it through.
But transparency is key, as you alluded to earlier. Professor Benjamin Okaba, President, Ijaw National Congress, many thanks for your perspective on the new NDDC board. It's good to have you with us.